Ciao a tutti ragazzi e bentornati in questo nuovo video, sono ChrisGamer89 e oggi siamo in questo nuovo video per farvi vedere una comparità della ps3 verso ps4. Bene ragazzi, iniziamo il video. Di Tomb Raider è questa cosa.
Smaller size, just the actual bitmaps themselves take up memory. But for Xbox One and PS4, we were able to go back and take all those textures that we've done and blow them out literally 4 times larger than they'd ever been. So those details, those minute details, when you get really close into the texture from a camera's perspective or from a player's perspective, you can see those fine grains in the leather jacket on the back of one of the bad guys. You can see the actual cloth inside of Laura's t-shirt. You can actually see textures of her skin. They don't look kind of gray or washed out. They're incredibly detailed. It makes you feel like they have little pores or bumps on them. That's the kind of stuff you can get to from the actual art textures themselves. Say, how far can we push Laura and do our first steps towards what a next-gen Lara Croft would look like. That meant taking the entire model and doing a topology path across all of her body. Physics as far as the objects attached to her, but also the shape of the body itself. Pretty much the same, but high resolution. The texture maps are high resolution. And then from the head and the face, all that was rebuilt from scratch to give kind of a new look for what we think a next-gen Lara could be. We also did something specific for her skin called subsurface scattering. When you add subsurface scattering, it means the light goes through the surface to that kind of right beneath the surface of the skin, spreads out or scatters, and actually gives that kind of soft glow, kind of soft illumination to the object, or in this case for skin. So it gives a much more realistic look. That, on top of everything else we did for Lara, really makes her stand out in a way that, when you look at them side by side, is very, very impressive.
Raga, Tomb Raider è una cosa la PS4, cioè guardate che schifo la PS3. Io adesso la PS3 che ho qui, che voi ancora non l'avete visto, la spaccherei. Col martello prenderei e la spaccherei vedendo questo video. Facendo e anche vedendo questo video.
But for next gen, we had the chance to go somewhere between 5 and 15 times more particles depending on the area, and dynamically lit particles. So we see certain areas like this World War II bunker that Laura has to infiltrate. When she gets up close to it, there's a searchlight off in the distance that's sweeping through a heavy rainstorm. In the last gen, you'll see it's all kind of the same tone, it all has the same look. You can't really distinguish the searchlight or the rain. In the next gen versions, you actually see this conical light from the searchlight slicing through the rain, and the raindrops actually light as they individually fall through the actual light surface itself, getting lit dynamically. And that kind of richness, some of the areas, for example, when she's escaping one of the Solari fortresses, the smoke now pulls onto the ceiling. So you actually have this much thicker, heavier sensation in the air. You'll see Laura's skin dynamically change into sweat because it's a warm, tense environment. You'll see the smoke on the ceiling. You'll see extra embers glowing in the environment around her. All of that adds to that visual storytelling and that visual fidelity that we pushed for on next gen. We kind of cheated the fog on last gen. It was a great trick of having these two-dimensional fog planes out there that help highlight what's called level of detail. So objects that are far in the distance can go to a much smaller scale, so they don't have to have as much cost in the processors for rendering. That level of detail, when they're much less detailed, they're much easier to draw. But in this next-gen version, we could push those levels of detail all the way out so that everything can always be at high detail at any place in the map. That means there is no kind of mysterious Claritin-like effect where there's this gray fog over the screen. That's all been pulled off. So instead, everything you see is always there. You don't have weird shadow lines. You don't have objects kind of disappearing in the distance. It's all visible out to the horizon. This is really the first attempt for us with our engine, with our character on next gen. I can't wait to see what we do next.
Ok ragazzi, spero che il video vi sia piaciuto, lasciate un bellissimo grossissimo like e ciao! Bene ragazzi! Ricordatevi di iscrivervi al canale. Ciao!